again to another edition of the Kim English Coaches Show. I'm Bill Rowland, and alongside me, the head men's basketball coach here at George Mason University, Kim English. And Coach, it's been a while since we've done one of these. We got a lot to cover over here the next hour. We want to thank, of course, our sponsors, SN Mortgage Company and Glory Days Grill, for helping us bring the show to you. Wild week. We'll just start off with the most recent one. A wild week so far for you. A couple of games against Richmond, a 3-point loss at their place on Monday night, 3-point with .9 to go. And you guys get a 3-point victory last night in overtime. Condensed schedule. It's been kind of crazy, but a nice week for taking at least a split with Richmond.
Yeah, that's good. You know, you want to always protect the home court. You want to give yourself a chance to win on the road. You know, we were obviously down one of our guys, you know, at Richmond and at LaSalle. That guys fought hard, you know, still working and still learning and improving our habits and building our culture and building the program. You know, it's going to be some lumps along the way, and we've taken a few, but, you know, we're learning. Guys are learning and definitely improving. 12-10
overall, 5-4, what is kind of midway point of the A10 schedule if you're playing 18. 5-1 with Josh Oduro in the lineup, and the one loss, again, a double overtime in St. Louis. The other 3 losses by combined 10, so you've probably got to feel pretty good about how your team has responded when Josh hasn't been available.
They are. We don't go into any game, you know, looking for sympathy. We don't go into any game not feeling good about our game plan. We haven't entered one game this season not expecting to win, and you know, we haven't executed to our standard and lost yet this season. You know, every loss we've had has been disappointing. I said it last night, Nevada and ODU, those are the 2 teams this season that just beat us. They were better that night. Every other game I feel like we gave away. The GW loss is one of the most disappointing of my career. It was a bad loss, even without Josh. LaSalle was a disappointing loss, and Richmond was as well. You know, but like I said, it's silver lining through it all. You know, we have a layup to win at Richmond. You know, and even if that layup goes in, we still didn't execute to our standard. You know, we gave up too many threes to good shooters. We turned the ball over too much. So it's just always about us getting better, just continuing to get better.
Talk about that, because you mentioned that you didn't play up to your standards on Monday against Richmond. How did that compare with Wednesday? Again, both of them 3-point games. Yeah. Offense was clearly better on Wednesday night. You guys made 14 threes as compared to 5 on Monday. But the defense gave up the 84 points. So what was the change stylistically or anything that they did, you did? Why the difference between the 2 games?
Well, the 84 points was in overtime. We guarded. You know, they shot 39%, you know, which is our goal, right? And they shot a better percentage last night. But the way they were scoring was more on our terms. You know, we did a better job going over Gilliard's screens and Burton going over his screens. The few times we had lapses and went under, they made us pay. You know, Golden's shots from the perimeter, we live with those. Those are things that are on our terms. Some of the shots they threw in at the end were a bit unlucky. Very unlucky. A 3 that rolled in, an air ball, offensive rebound, kicked out to a 3. They were scoring on our terms better last night than the other night.
I think you guys, and I haven't seen all of Richmond's games, but looking at their box scores, I thought you guys did as good a job against Burton as maybe anybody has this year, considering what he was coming off of, 36 points against St. Bonaventure in their game on Friday. I thought you guys made him work for him. I mean, he scored. He's going to get his points. Good players do that. But I thought you guys made him work for almost everything both nights.
Yeah, we have great trust in our wing defenders, Deshaun, Tickett, Coop, everyone. It's by committee. It's our help defenders. You know, it's with us taking care of the ball. It's all a part of it. You know, ball security helps our defense. Shot selection helps our defense. St. Joe's did a pretty good job on him as well.
You look at this again, 5-4 in the A10. Haven't seen VCU. We'll see them Saturday and again later this month. Haven't seen Davidson as far as playing them in person. I would still think though, at this point in the season, you guys probably feel, and you probably felt before the A-10 even started, that you can put your team out there and compete with anybody in this conference.
Yeah, we're disappointed we're not 9-0. And that's the reality of it. It's not a game we've played in league we should not have won. We should have won them all, even the games that Josh wasn't available. We still could have and should have won. You're talking about free throws. You're talking about a made layup here or there. You're talking about one or two less turnovers, and we're sitting at 9-0. So yeah, two of the top teams we haven't played. Obviously, the VCU, who we get to face on Saturday, and Davidson, who was playing extremely well and taking care of business. It's about us executing to our standards and continuing to build that just level of toughness and consistency in our group.
Last night, CBS Sports did the game between us and Richmond. They did a different type of broadcast. It was an analytics kind of focused broadcast. I know you're a guy who looks at the analytics and dives deep into and various things. Do you think that's the type of broadcast that will help the average fan kind of understand some of these higher level, analytics that you guys talk about or look at, or do you think that some of that's going to get lost in translation for some people?
Some of it I think is, some of it is it's not important, right? There are some things that are important to us winning, but some of them you're looking at an algorithm, and you're just cherry picking data from a computer, but it's not actually what's happening on the court, right? And I kind of explained to the guys on the broadcast a little bit about it. They had a graphic up, talking about our turnover percentage versus a press. Mm-hmm. And I kind of had explained to them like how these computers work, how Synergy works. It's sometimes it's not real data.
And we should say Synergy is the program, the company
Synergy is a program, is a company that tracks all data in college and NBA basketball overseas, all over. But, the way Synergy tracks a press is if one defender is in the backcourt at the start of the possession, right? So if, let's say I am actually pressed, like an old school VCU Havoc press, and I break that press, right? And we play 27 seconds of offense, and we've ran set after set, action after action, and at 1 second left in the clock, I dribble off my foot. Synergy would count that a turnover versus the press, and that's not accurate.
Right.
So there's some aspects of it where we on our staff, we have our own data, and it's the data being looked at by basketball people, not the data being looked at by computer people.
Do you think some of that does get lost in the
absolutely.
game? Because I know in almost any game now, football, baseball, basketball, whatever it is, it's just people want to look at it and say, oh, well, look at this number, but the reality doesn't always match.
The reality doesn't match. And, we talk about threes and layups and, steering away from mid-range shots. But if it's 5 seconds left in the game, you better defend that mid-range shot to the best of your ability.
Right.
Or if because at that point it doesn't matter. A mid-range shot can beat you. Or if you're on offense and you can't get a three, you can't get to them, you better have it in your game to make a mid-range shot. So absolutely, it gets lost from fans. Sometimes it gets lost from people in around organizations and programs that look at it as it's not an end-all be-all. It's a piece. It's a piece. We can't sign a kid based on analytics. We can learn more about them from what the data says, but there's a human side to it as well.
In breaking down that data, and I know a lot of this stuff because I was talking to one of the guys last night that was helping do the things on their broadcast, and you talk about guys getting shots at certain points. They focused in on Josh and what he does when he goes to his baseline or over his right shoulder or whatever it is. When you look at all that data, not the stuff that they give to you, but what you guys look at, do you talk to your players about, hey, you know what? This spot on the floor seems to be a better spot for you to take a shot than this other spot where you haven't been as successful? Or do you try to not make them think about, oh, shoot, I'm on the left side, I probably shouldn't take this one because I'm shooting 38% from here or whatever?
No, not that. Not that stuff. But, areas of the court. Areas, 3 mid-range, 2, at the rim.
Right.
We absolutely let them know what their percentages are in certain areas, and you can try not to shoot a tough contested 2 and look and search for something better. So we absolutely try to get the intelligence on the court. They know, what shots we value. They get to see at halftime. We have had some of our best offensive halves this season, and we've gone, and I think one game we were like 62% at halftime from the field, and we only taken, we were 0 for 1 from mid-range. And it makes sense, if you shoot higher percentage shots more, like we have 3 guys on our team that are shooting over 70% at the rim. A box score won't tell you that.
Right.
We only know that because we look at and we study the range our guys shoot shots from. So if Devontae Gaines is 72% at the rim and he's 45% from 3 and he's 29% from the mid, he needs to shoot those 72% shots and those 45% shots that are worth 50% more than those 2-point shots.
Right.
So, we absolutely try to get the intelligence onto the court, and you have to defensively as well. You have to give them something. We haven't done as good enough job guarding the 3-point shot as I wish. And we're, as a staff, we're trying to figure out why. I think it's some trust. Guys are still closing out to shooters cautious, worried about not getting beat. But we have to get the point to the program where our guys closing out to shooters trust that your teammate behind you is going to stop someone if you get driven by. We've watched some Texas Tech with the guys. That's a really good help defensive team. They're built on, we call it the white line. It's underneath the basket to basket. We call it the white line. It's the spine of your defense. And our guys need to be in that spot. And we've gotten better the last 2 games, helping in those spots. But no, you need to know it, right? If we say that, I'm okay if Jacob Gilliard, I say it all the time, if Jacob Gilliard makes 2-point shots, that's on me. If he makes 2-point shots from outside the charge circle, that is on me. If he makes 3s, that's on you.
Right.
Right? If I say if Grant Golden makes 3s, that's on coach. That is on coach. I'm living with his 3s this game. That's not where their offense is best, in my opinion. Now, if he gets to his right hand, if he gets to his left shoulder right hand, if he drives you right, don't look at me. That's on you.
Because and that happened last night. I saw at one point you'd said, we know he's a right-hand driver.
We've watched film. We've talked about it. But at the end of the day, it's not taught until it's learned. So whatever we're doing in film, it's not good enough yet where the message is getting across fully, where we can play a game with 0 game plan mistakes.
How much was this a part of scouting when you were playing at Missouri? Has it exploded that? I mean, it's been, 10 years since you played, so has it exploded even further along than when you were in school?
It has. I think so. I mean, we had a good feel on shooter driver, but it's taken it, the game, with how much the data is being used and analyzed, it is I don't want to say a smarter game, but it is a more nuanced mathematical game going on. Like, we'll probably
more informed game, maybe.
Yeah, it is a more informed game just because of the data set. This season we're gonna make the most 3s in the history of George Mason basketball, and I think we're 16 away, and we have a lot of games to play, so we're probably gonna break that. And we're not the best shooting team in history of George Mason. Surely, I don't know, but it's just we're shooting more 3s. We're using it to our advantage. We have good shooters. We'll always recruit and sign guys that can make 3s because it just gives you space on the court, which opens up opportunities to drive. And I'm thinking back to my college team. When I thought we shot a lot of 3s. We could have shot so many more 3s.
Spoken like a true shooter. Everybody thinks they could have taken more, right?
But it just wasn't the way the game was played.
Right.
It was move the ball, get it reversed. But it was like, why? Why should we, pass the ball 6 times before we shoot it?
That's because the coaches will say, and again,
Okay.
they'll say,
Give me
because most coaches will say they're trying to shift the defense so you can get your opening. I mean, that's what the old line would be, right?
Statistically, your offense is best. Offense is best in the first 8 seconds of the possession.
Before the defense can get
It's
set.
worse in the last 5 seconds of the possession.
Right.
Like if we're playing a game and we have good shooters that make shots at a 40% clip, why wouldn't we want to shoot the ball quicker
to get more
opportunities?
Right.
So we want to play fast on offense, make them play long on defense. They have less, we have more. You know, I say it sometimes. Sometimes you can play math. You can play math.
Right.
If we're taking a higher percentage shot more times than our opponent, and we can make them take less percentage shots, you know, at a less effective clip than us, and we're tough and physical and competitive and gritty and play hard together, all the forever basketball metrics.
Right.
You had a good chance at building a pretty solid team and program.
Do you find, because analytics has exploded, again, through all sports, do you find that the kids that you are recruiting now are much easier to show them and convince them and have them implement what you're showing them than, say, if somebody had come to you with all this information when you were at Missouri? Do you think it would have been as easy because you didn't grow up with it? Because now these guys, if they're playing even the video games, you can get all of this information after you've played your NBA 2K or whatever it is. Do you find that they kind of adapt to it easier?
Yeah, I think they, you know, in recruiting, you're always, you know, showing what your vision is. So when we sit down and watch video with the kid in our boardroom, or we, you know, we analyze the trajectory of our players, you know, Tickett's impact at Tennessee to now, Davon's, Deshaun's, Josh's impact. They get to see it on the court. And, you know, when we talk player development and growth and improvement, they know it's not just lip service. You know, for us, it's less about the analytics of the high school players' game and more about their competitiveness, work ethic, toughness, humility. Like, we want dogs. We want aggressive, hardcore, competitive dudes with great size and athleticism and shooting, and like Justin Fernandez. And when we get them here, we'll let them know, like, you know, this is the way we're going to play and why. You know, I think I've told Deshaun, he shot a pull-up 3 against someone I can't remember. It was a bad shot. I think I've gotten Coop maybe 2 or 3 times. I told him it was a bad shot. Josh, maybe a couple, Navy for sure, his 3. Maybe one of his 3s the other night. I can count on one hand how many times I've told our guys it was a bad shot. And they know the shots we value from how much we emphasize the way we score practice, what we work on in our individual vitamins and stuff like that.
All right, let's move on from that. We could probably do at least an hour or more on just analytics. But last night in the postgame press conference, you talked about Blake Buchanan, the transfer walk-on from Wake Forest. And you said you had told them back in early November practice that he was in your top 8.
Yeah.
And then you apologized and said it was your fault that he hadn't been playing. Is that one of the things that was tough for you to kind of reconcile with yourself, that, man, I should have had him playing all along? Is that something as a first-year coach you're growing into? And I guess the second part of that is, what is it about Blake that he should have been, in your mind, playing more than he has been?
Well, no, I mean, I'm not. No, it's fine. He's fine. It's fine. You know, you go with your gut. You go with. There also, there's a data set. So yeah, I did say that it was before November. It was in September. You know, coaches are just suckers for talent. You know, you're suckers for upside. And, you know, we were 4-0 and playing extremely well and won a great game on the road against a local team in Maryland, and things were going. But, yeah, I should have. It was in my gut originally in September, and you start looking at upside and size of other guys and shooting and all that. But over time, just his consistency kept wearing on me. And I got to the point where I was just sick of looking at the mental mistakes, where it was, and I proposed a question to our staff maybe a month ago, and I said, at what point does potential become just not good enough? Like, how long do you wait on potential? How long do you wait on freshman to sophomore to junior? Like, how long do you keep saying, oh, well, he's so athletic if he were? Like, I was like, I'm February is long enough to keep waiting on potential.
Isn't that the old line that coaches, famous, I can't remember who it's attributed to, but said, your potential gets me fired because you're not reaching it?
For sure. Yeah. And it just came down to production, and he is what our program will be: tough, competitive, hardworking, humble. I mean, I've never seen him pout on a bench. I've never seen him pout in practice. He goes from gold to green in practice. He knows all of our stuff. He makes mistakes. He makes up going hard. He made mistakes at Richmond. He gave up some big buckets. But he's everything this program is going to be about, and he's going to play. He's in the rotation. I'm not wavering from that. He'll play in every single game the rest of the season as long as he's healthy.
See, it's interesting you talk about humble. And to me, especially a first-year coach who probably is afraid to make it look like you've made a mistake, at least that's how I would feel, that you have to kind of project this image. I think it shows how humble that you can be to admit, not behind the scenes to your coaching staff, but in front of the press and media, and say, that's on me. He should have been playing, and I screwed that up.
No, I mean, I've made mistakes in every game. Every one of our 22 games, I've made a mistake. It's the only way you learn from it. I learned from it. I made a mistake at James Madison. It was an ugly, ugly, ugly game, and we were fighting back, and we finally took the lead on the free throw, and I told our guys to press. Shouldn't have did it. On the road with the lead, we just fought back. We just played 40 hours before. They broke the press, scored a layup. We had to fight and scratch and claw all the way back again. That was a mistake.
Right.
It happened the other night. I was like, should we press? I was like, no, I don't want to do it on the road. We'll just stay. And so it's you learn. It's the only way you learn. No one is perfect. There's not a coach anywhere, even the ones of you that are on your couches, is perfect. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes in our jobs, in our careers. It's the only way you learn.
Right. You talked about, and we've done it here on the Coaches Show, and you and I have had conversations, everything about Joshua Durham and how good you thought he could be. You've been telling everybody since the day you were hired here that Joshua Durham could be, as again, an A-10 Player of the Year type candidate. And people went, wow, that'd be great a couple of years from now if you could do it. Well, he's here. 32 points twice already this season, new career high. Had a career high against Richmond last night in rebounds. Blocked 6 shots against Georgia early this year. 5 assists last night against Richmond, a career high. You've been telling us all along, is this what you expected for him to be this good this season, and can he still get better?
I expected him to be better.
Okay.
Actually, I think he's still just scratching the surface of how good he can be. He's gotten better every single game. We have a really good connection on the court, meeting eyes and connecting and dead balls. And when he makes a mistake and like I'm about to coach him, he is telling me of the mistake before it's even. It's just
is that the little side eye that he gives? Like,
no,
that's different.
That's different. Sometimes he does do that sometimes, but no, he's only scratching the surface. He's not even close to as good as he's going to be. He's had his knee. He had the concussion. He's been out for a little bit, so he's getting his leg back. He's he's improved as a shooter. He's tripled his attempts from last season. He's well over his makes.
Is that the next level, being more consistent from the outside? Is that
it's continuing. I mean, it's for me. It's helping him become a successful long-term NBA player. We watched film today, and the thing that's going to help. He's a prospect now. Teams are calling now, but what's going to make him a draft pick and sign second and third contracts in the NBA is going to be his athleticism and his three-point shooting. That's never going to be the main course of his game, but he can't miss badly. It looks good. He's made some big ones for us this year. Yeah. He knows we trust him to take good ones and make them, but it's continuing the growth of his body, his habits, his diet, his sleeping, his hydration, showing his athleticism more, and continuing to develop as a shooter. Like, I think he's the A-10 player of the year, all league. I think he'll be one of the best players that ever played at George Mason. I think he's going to go on to play a long time in the NBA.
Obviously, you're going to support your guy in Josh Oduor being A-10 player of the year. But let's talk about some of the other big players that you've seen, again, with the caveat that we haven't seen in person. I'm sure you've seen these guys on film, the VCUs, the Davidsons, and some other programs. But so far, who has impressed you as we've gone through the A-10 so far that you've looked at and been like, that guy, he's good. That guy's good.
Yeah, well, Jacob Gilliard is special. He was my first recruit ever. He was going to come to play for us at Tulsa. And at the last minute, we
hold on.
Out.
Is that weird that he was your first ever recruit? You're now 6-7 years later on. He's still playing college basketball.
I know.
Those guys have been around a long time.
Well, as you say that, then it wasn't my first recruit. He was my first recruit as an assistant.
Right.
Because my first year, I wasn't an assistant coach. My second year at Tulsa, I was. So, you're right.
He might have been a junior in high school when you started,
yeah,
too.
But still, it was.
He's been around for a long time.
He has been around a long time. And so he's incredible and incredibly gifted, and obviously made the most threes in the history of Richmond, most steals in the history of college basketball. Yuri Collins, maybe you asked it after the game. I thought about it. That is up there. That is up there, one of the best performances that I've seen. And I didn't really feel it until I saw the stat sheet, all the assists, the steals. He was phenomenal that night. Watching the entire group at Davidson, Hung Lee, Foster Lawyer, who was another kid. He was a kid in the gym when I was with the Pistons. His dad was my assistant coach, John Lawyer. So I grew up. I recruited Foster at Tulsa, and I know him, intimately. Really good talent around the league. Vince Williams, great shooter at VCU. Adrian Baldwin, a Baltimore kid who I recruited at Colorado. Getting him back, I think, has really turned around VCU's season. I could go and talk about players on every team, and it's just a really, really good league. I really enjoyed coaching in the A-10.
Yeah, it is interesting because it seems like every single night you have a guy, because we didn't even mention Kyle Lofton from St. Bonaventure, or Dominic Welch from St. Bonaventure. I mean, every night when you're preparing for it, you look at him, you're like, oh, this is another team that's got a guy that could be all league or first or second team, and it's just wave after wave after wave.
It's not really surprising. It's par for the course when you're in a league like this. When you're in, I think it's one of the top. I think this is the top 6, top 7 league, in the top 7 league. I think it's probably the seventh best league in the country. When you're up there, with NBA players, with great coaches, the talent is every single night. Even on the teams that are on the quote unquote the bottom, if once that bottom figures itself out over these next few weeks, still incredible talent.
No easy outs.
None.
Yeah.
Anyone can beat anyone on any given night when you get to this level of college basketball.
We talked about Josh and his injuries. You also had injury. Ronnie Polite has been sidelined the last few games, which has put a ton of pressure on Xavier Johnson to run the point. He's done pretty well, having played 35-plus minutes over the last 5 games. And you probably know these, but I'm going to throw them at you anyway. His last 5 games, 12 points a game, 6.8 assists, 5.6 rebounds, and he's had 9 of his last 18 from 3. Again, all while playing over 35 minutes a night and having to chase guys like we mentioned, Jacob Gilliard and Yuri Collins, all over the floor. Those are 2 of the better guards in the A-10, but I think that Johnson sometimes gets lost in the conversation. Again, we talked about Ace Baldwin as well. He kind of gets lost because there are so many good point guards in this league.
He's one of the best guards in the A-10. It's for us, it's getting him to know that and realize that and prepare like that and have that swag and confidence every single day and not. Again, these kids are young, man. They're young kids, and they you don't know their view of other players in the league. But it's we're on it. We're on X. Yes, our guys play a lot of minutes. We're getting, I'm getting more and more comfortable with our bench as we go, as they keep proving to me in practice that they can, give us valuable minutes. They'll play more, which will give our guys more rest. But we spend all summer and all fall getting in elite shape, elite condition shape. I played my senior season on a team who played 7 guys. 6 of us all played 30-plus minutes. It can be done. If you go back and look at the George Mason Final Four team, look at the minute distribution on that team, it's like, yes, I think depth is overrated in games. I think it's underrated in practice.
Right.
You practice smart. You get an elite condition. You play. Sometimes you have to play smart without fouls. I don't overreact to foul trouble. But X he's been great, and he hasn't sometimes. He has 6 turnovers in the second half at Richmond.
Right.
The way he finished the St. Louis game. It was 9 for 18. It would have been 10 for 19 if he would have shot that 3 in front of the corner on our bench.
Yeah.
I think when you turn down shots, it leads to turnovers, and we work on our games. Our guys should have no hesitation ever about shooting the basketball.
Do you think as a point guard, and I think it's the same way if you talk about college football, NFL, the quarterback gets too much credit, too much blame. Same way with the point guard in basketball sometimes?
I think it's honestly, I think that's externally, that's probably the coach.
Okay.
This is probably the coach, I'd say, deserves the blame and honestly doesn't deserve much of the credit when they win.
Okay.
When you lose, I think it's on the coach. When you win, I think it's on the players. Now, internally, coaches are really hard on point guards. Internally, yes. And I'm really hard on X.
But do you think the fans? Do you
I
think
don't
fans?
know. I don't know. I don't hear.
That way.
I don't
Okay.
hear much fan responses in season.
Okay.
I try to stay away from it just because you have to stay in the moment to what's most important. But X, and hopefully he does. Because with
hard in this day and age with,
it is.
with Twitter
it is.
and Snapchat
it is.
and Instagram and
I
everything
know.
else.
It's hard for them.
Yeah.
I delete the app off my phone for like weeks at a time, then I'll get back on if I need to, retweet something for our athletic department or something. But it's smart to stay away from it because what a fan opines about your game means nothing. John Wooden says criticism and praise are the same thing. They mean nothing to what you have to do next. X gets his criticism and his coaching from us, and it is strong and stern and aggressive. And what I've learned to love most about him is how he responds in the face of it. He responded after the St. Louis game with a really good game at LaSalle, albeit being a loss. He responded with a less than stellar second half at Richmond with a really good game last night against Richmond. So now the task is, let's stop having to have the negative reminders of bad games. Let's have the maturity and the focus to lock in, refocus, recalibrate, re-engage every single night.
All right, let's take a quick step here and thank our sponsors for tonight's show. Of course, the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show with Kim English is presented by SN Mortgage Company. SN Mortgage Company, start your journey home today. Security National Mortgage Company is an equal housing lender company. NMLS 3116. Also want to thank Glory Days Grill as well. And if you want to get tickets, homecoming coming up on Saturday as the Patriots will host Virginia Commonwealth at 4 p.m. You can get season tickets, mini plans, individual game tickets, all available. Call the Mason Ticket Office at 703-993-3270 or visit gomason.com for more information. All right.
I hope they heard that last part about the tickets.
Ticket office at 703-993-3270 or visit gomason.com.
We need to fill this place up on Saturday. I've been some other places, Colorado, Arizona fans would come fill up our place. When we play in Nashville, Kentucky fans would kind of try to take over. I want this place to be packed with green and gold on Saturday and loud and on your feet. We have an opportunity to have the best venue in the Atlantic 10. This is a basketball arena, with great tradition and history. We got and last night's game, towards the end of the second half and overtime, towards the end of the St. Louis game, it started to feel more and more like what it has to feel like. It's not a sit on your butt game and golf clap or text or I think I saw watching film of a free throw, a student on his laptop in the student section. Like this,
you gotta get the homework done, Coach. Well,
he has to allocate his time better. But we want to make this a daunting environment for opponents because it can be. It can be loud and ruckus, and just it gives us such a great advantage.
And it's funny, leading right into that was kind of my next question, is going with VCU, coming in for homecoming. In your career, I'm sure you played rivalry games and that sort of thing. Missouri, having football, homecoming was, I'm sure, during football season. But when you played a game, probably Kansas, your biggest rival at Missouri, how much more difficult was it to not get amped up for it? Because that's easy, but to be able to control that and not get overly excited and overly amped up for a game like there will be for Saturday.
Oh, I think you jack yourself up as high as you can go, and the way you release that ampness, right, is on defense.
Okay.
You can be as amped up and wound up as you want to be on defense, and you'll be just fine. You'll play hard. What I'm saying? You're gonna box out too hard, hit them. If you get a foul, I don't care. Like you're gonna run off, shoot to the line. You're gonna sprint back in transition. Like you give your all. You can get amped up is all you need to and you get to release it on defense. And the offense stuff, it's routine. It's why our players have so much confidence. Why we have confidence in them, because the work is done in April, in May, in June, in July, in August, in September, in October. And now November, December, it's just maintenance. Now we've done all the work. We've done all the work on the game. You can't not work hard in the offseason and think, oh, the season's here, I'm going to come in the gym the night before the game and get some shots up. No, it's too late. You're not going to make shots. It's too late. So you amp yourself up for a rivalry game like VCU to the highest level you have to. I was talking to Ike Tate. We went through his KenPom sheet 2008 till 2011, every one of the games that Coach L's team played against VCU, and I had him talk me through every one of those games. I think he may have finished 3-4 against them, but he said they beat him good at the Siegel Center, which got them ready for the NCAA tournament the year they went to the Final Four. Three CAA teams.
That was 2011.
Got to the tournament that year. ODU winning the league, and Mason won 17 straight.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of learning more about the rivalry, but I remember it. I know it. I mean, we got Follerin and Lamar and Ja walking around like, our guys know these guys.
You talk about being able to get amped up, but you can't go in the night before. There is a level, I think, that some fans will look at and say, oh, they lost this rivalry game. They didn't rise to the occasion of a rivalry game. But that's not the way that you guys operate. It's not about rising to the next level. It's meeting your standards that you have every single time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, if we lose, we just didn't execute to our standard. It's not we didn't. We could very well. We didn't play well at Richmond, right? But we had a layup to win it. I don't want to say we didn't rise to the occasion. We could have won the game. We could have won a game. We played terribly. We make a layup. But we have a saying in our program, you don't rise to the occasion. That's not a thing. Rising to the occasion is not a thing. It doesn't exist. We believe you fall to the level of your preparation. You are who you are. You are who you are every day. You can think you're amping yourself up. Any junior at George Mason could really pump themselves up to come out here and think they could beat me in one-on-one, and they could really think they're going to rise to the occasion. But it's nothing they could do, right? It's just,
right.
This is what we do. Like, I am falling to the level of my years of preparation, and I will beat you in that game of one-on-one. So,
right. They may make one shot, but they're not going to win. It's the same thing people would say. You might be able to beat Tiger Woods in his prime on one golf hole. You're not going to beat him over 18.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same idea. You talked about the arena being loud last night. At one point, see you trying to get the fans up and excited and everything. I'm sure you're hoping for a day when you don't have to do that. You don't have to be head coach and at times head cheerleader as well. Do you get the sense from the beginning of the season to now that it is starting to get a little more?
It's absolutely changing.
Okay.
It's absolutely changing. In those moments where I don't even realize that I'm doing that, in those moments, it's just we are giving so much. We are giving so much for the name on the front of our jerseys and our pullovers, right? And in those moments where we need one stop, I know the feeling of being on the court when you feel that energy from the building and it just gets louder and louder. I know what it feels like on the offensive side, not be able to communicate what you want to do. A coach can't get his message onto the court. So I'm in that moment, and every once in a while when I'm looking like, does it say 78-78 with 10 seconds to go? And I just look over and people are sitting down and I'm like, are you serious? Like, get up, right? Like,
right.
Like, you know, but no, it's improved greatly. And George Mason fans know how to be great fans. I remember what this place was like, you know, in the 2000s. It's just about, you know, getting it back to that. You know, we know that 2011 banner is hanging in the arena, and it hasn't been one since. And we know what it takes to get there.
The students have done a pretty good job, and I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but it's pretty cool. They've put over next to the band a couple of the different other athletic teams that have filled in. Last night it was the club football team that was there. That's kind of cool to see them being there and cheering for your guys and everything, that know that the student athletes are all kind of supporting each other.
Yeah, we have a goal in our program. We want to get out to see all the varsity sports at Mason. And we've actually, because the club football team plays right across the street from the RAC, I've actually on a Saturday moseyed over and watched a bit of the club football team. You know, that section was really good in overtime of the last game, and it took me back. And I think that's something that we need to do more of, like get both of those end zones, because unfortunately, you know, if it's not empty, if it's not full, our opponents who are shooting a ridiculous clip from the free throw line against us.
Right.
I think they're like our opponents in league play are almost 80% from the free throw line. And that's just a luck stat. You know, you don't want to foul good shooters, but we can't defend those. But our students can. Our students can go sit next to the green machine. Our students are a part of the green machine. Sit next to the green machine, like, you know, make signs, spindles, jump up, go crazy, roll your hands, yell at them. Like, you can affect the game. You know, I want our university to do something where if our fans make the opposing team miss 2 free throws in the second half, they can get something. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Hope I don't get in trouble from Brad, but I think we got to keep getting the entire community behind us, because this thing will only be great again if there's complete buy-in across the board. It can't be just us, right? It can't be just the players. It can't be just Brad. It can't just be Dr. Washington. For it to be the engine that I really believe it can be, it has to be everybody, everyone involved. That's ticket sales, that's arena people, that's students, that's alumni, that's donors, that's fans, that's bringing your friends to games. Like, you have a part in the success, like, absolutely. Just donating money, which helps our facilities, which helps us recruit better players. We get better players, we win more games, we get to the postseason, we get to March. Like, everyone has a big role to play in this whole thing.
You talk about recruiting, and one of your recruits for 2022 is already here. Justin Fernandez has joined the team for the spring. Talk about what went into that decision of him leaving IMG and coming here early to work out with the team.
Well, the one requirement that he had to satisfy for the NCAA was graduating. He graduated on December 17th, 2021, and we had a player leave. They gave us an open scholarship. We thought about taking the kid from the portal, but after deeper evals and watching, Justin wanted to be here. He is a lifelong learner. He is a sponge. He was, watching every single game. I'd be on FaceTime with him at night while I'm watching practice. He'd be watching practice with me on FaceTime. And he really wanted to be here. And I just thought the head start we get on his development, his body, learning our system, being around our guys. He's going to start warming up pregame with the guys like he did last game. I joke with him. One of the games I joked I was going to pull the red shirt and throw him because he is eligible, but we're not going to play him at all. We're going to let him develop and grow and get a feel for the program so that he's ahead of the curve when we start this summer.
How has that been the last couple of weeks of him adjusting from high school, basically, IMG, to now college schedule, college practices around his teammates that are now older, when he was probably one of the older guys at IMG, I would imagine. So what's that transition been like for him?
It's been good for him. He because of our schedule of so many games in so few days, we haven't had normal practices where it's bone-on-bone, rigorous competition, going at each other. It's been, I call them dance steps, it's been more teaching. It's been quick bursts of competition instead of elongated. It's been a lot of film. It's been a lot of teaching. It's been a lot of individual work on their individual games. So it's been easier for him to adjust to that. I'm not sure he could have done it if he came right into the thick of things in November, because those practices are a lot more grueling and physical and aggressive. I'm not sure a high school kid's body quite ready for that. So he gets to get his body up to speed. We probably won't have those types of practices the rest of the season. Those
he's in for a big
November
surprise
dog
then
days.
coming.
But he's seen them. He's
Right.
been here in the summer. He's been here in the fall. He knows what those practices look like, the level of competition, and honestly, the level of uncomfortability for people on the outside that are watching those. But that's the only way you can get the iron sharpens iron approach. And we're trying to build a culture. We're building this thing, the way we want it, and it's different. It's different.
All right, quick diversion from this season in the schedule. It was announced and confirmed this week. The Patriots are going to the Paradise Jam to play in November. Now, I enjoyed my time in South Dakota back in November, Coach.
That makes one of us.
But I'd much rather, results aside, much rather be down in the islands. And Mason has played in this tournament before. It's a great opportunity for people to take a little vacation around November, see some good basketball, and enjoy the islands.
Yeah, I've been there. I went there my first year in coaching. It is a really good event, really good tournament, and some really good teams in it this year. Boston College has a really good recruiting class coming in. Wyoming is a really good team out of the Mountain West. Belmont, a team Mason fans should be familiar with last season. I feel like they played, or maybe 2 years ago, played Belmont.
I don't think it was last year, yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago, Mason, Belmont. I feel like I've seen it. It was last year? It was last year.
Was it last year? Okay.
So again, really good teams, really good programs, and obviously the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, is a lot better than Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't want to bring it up, but Saturday, first career ejection against LaSalle. I've seen your interactions all year long with the officials. It's usually very good. It's usually you'll ask a question, maybe sternly. They'll give you an answer, a little pat on the back, shoulder, whatever. You guys go on about your lives for the rest of the game. Didn't happen that way on Saturday. You were animated, upset, got ejected. It happens. Every coach has had it happen at one point. What was it that got you to that point? Because, again, I've seen you very animated, ramped up, and then the level comes back down. That level never came back down.
Well, it did when I got in the locker room.
Right.
When first of all, I shouldn't have behaved that way. I should have done a much better job setting an example for our guys of how to respond in the face of adversity, no matter how egregious the situation may be. Players, coaches get a feel for the way the game's being called. If it's close, if it's physical, and we're generally okay with however it goes. You have to use the first few minutes to get a feel for it. It was 3 consecutive calls that I disagreed with, 2 non-calls, 1 call, and I had enough. And I wanted to let our guys know that I'd go to any lengths to protect them, and know that I will fight for them, always. You know, a shepherd will protect his flock.
Now, I never thought you were over the top or too angry or out of control or anything, but was there any laughter at all after the moment? Obviously, in the moment, you don't want it to happen, but with Coach Felton trying to kind of do dance moves with in front of you to keep you from getting too close to the official. Again, not that I ever thought that you were going to make contact or anything else, but...
No, I was in complete control.
Yeah.
No, I was in complete control.
But nothing afterwards? You didn't say, hey, Coach, thanks, but I didn't
No,
need you there?
I told the team I didn't live up to the standards that we hold our program to in that moment of adversity. Never let them see you sweat. And I don't want our players to respond that way, and I'm the leader in their example. And, not what Brad Edwards and Dr. Washington expect out of their coach as a representative of this great university. But it happened. We moved on, and we were talking about Richmond, honestly, right after the game.
Do you still feel, again, only about 9-10 months into this thing, that you are still finding your voice as a coach, still trying to figure out exactly, okay, do I push this button, that button, what it is? Is that always an evolutionary thing?
I don't think that ever changes. I don't think that ever changes. I think if you do think you found it, I think you may be without a job here pretty soon. I think it still changes for Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim because the athletes change. It's what may have worked for one athlete may not work for another. You know, what offensive system or game plan may work for one team may not work for another. Like, I'm that's evolving. Like, I look like I really like getting the ball inside when we have Josh or Durham. We post it a lot less when we don't have them, right? So it's not me. It's about them.
Right.
So yeah, I am. I know my voice. They know my voice. They know what I, will accept, what I will not. I will not accept in a win what I wouldn't tolerate in a loss. But yeah, I'm always looking for ways and ideas to encourage and motivate our group. I have a group chat with all the guys. I have a group chat with the older guys, group chat with other guys, our coaches. I'm always listening and learning and talking to other coaches around the business, my coaches, my old bosses, and our leadership team, our administration. Everyone here is everyone's helping me. Like I don't have all the answers. I'm learning constantly.
You talked about earlier in the show about being humble, the mistake you made with Blake. Is there something that you can look at that you did this season that you thought maybe when you were doing it, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but ultimately it ended up being the right decision? Whether and it doesn't have to necessarily be playing time or anything like Blake, but just in general about, I'm not sure this is going to work out, and then it ended up being a lot better than you thought it was.
Yeah, those things happen all the time.
Okay.
I mean, those things happen all the time. To make the decision not to foul up 3 the other night with 12.6 seconds when it got down to 6. I was, if I was thinking about moving away from X at the starting point, but just something feeling really good about him being there and then him coming through and being good. So, and it happens the other way sometimes. It's not always broadcasted. It's like a college basketball season, a sports season, NBA, it does not exist without mistakes and wins. They happen all game. Sure. Right? You draw up a play and it works out of a timeout. You draw up a play and it doesn't. Like, it's the essence of sport. It's the essence of sport. It's literally down to shooting a shot and missing and being able to self-correct in your mind, where did I make the mistake? I didn't shoot it high enough. The next one I got to shoot it higher. Have to shoot it harder. Have to shoot it less hard. I missed 4. Maybe I should pass it. So it's the essence of sport. It's always learning. It's having little wins. It's having little losses. It's having big losses.
You talked about drawing up the plays coming out of the timeout. One of the ones that you guys ran against Richmond last night, I think you referenced this, was it looked like the setup was that Deshaun was going to back screen for Josh. That's how you wanted to make it look. In reality, it was a pin down for Deshaun to come out, catch, and shoot a 3, something you guys hadn't run before. Is that your play? Was that a coach? Was that something you guys had seen on film in practice? Where did that come from? Was that just in the flow of the game?
It's
hey, I think we can get 'em?
It's collaborative. Richmond does a really good job in scouting. As we go in those, I wanted to get a shot. When we get in those huddles, all the coaches are shouting out thoughts and ideas, and I'm listening and taking it all in. Someone, I think it was Nate, says, a lot of time we set double back screens for Josh, and he said, think of something with a single back screen. And we have some plays with single back screens, and he yelled a couple, and I was thinking like they do a really good job scouting. They've seen it. I said we had to draw something that they had never seen us do. They've seen that play before.
Sure.
They had just never seen us do it.
Right.
And they were really conscious helping off of the screener to stop Josh from getting the ball. So we just made that guy get one more screen. And it was Deshaun. He was open and he made a shot.
Made you look like a genius because he hit the shot.
Well, he made it. So yeah, it was good.
Last thing for you, Coach, on this, and this will be different outside of basketball. The guys this month are wearing the Black History is American History shirts. I know when you guys were down at GW for the MLK Day, you guys went and toured and saw different things in D.C. How much is it for this program, for you, to want them to be better citizens in the community at large, the George Mason community, and within your own basketball community? Talk about that.
It's huge. It's huge. I think it's so important, right? We're on a college campus, right? The higher education process, I believe as coaches we are a part of it, and I want that education to extend beyond the classroom. I want it to extend beyond the basketball court. So yes, we talk about what's going on in the world scientifically, politically, socially. We have those discussions. We talk about our history, our past, our not so pleasant history as it relates to race relations in America. It's open dialogue. There may be disagreements. Everyone's opinion is welcome, and I think it's the most American thing you can do. It's back to what I said, it's learning from your past mistakes. It's the Constitution, the Declaration, one of them said in order to form a more perfect union, more perfect. The founding fathers knew that in 1787 and 1801 and 1815 it wasn't perfect. It wasn't close to, it was a long way from perfect in the 1700s. And they left us with the charge to form a more perfect union. And I think it's our duty. And I think you keep knocking on that door until you get equality and focus on what's right. Like I sleep great at night knowing you're doing what's right,
How have the guys responded to that kind of stuff? Are they all
They're
bought
great.
in?
They're great. We went to the African American History Museum, and Blake Jones and Blake Buchanan went. They didn't have class that day, and everyone just kind of went on their own, walked around and read. And I was ready to leave. We had to get back for practice, and I remember leaving, and Blake Jones was kind of tucked off by his side. We had started at the migration from the stealing of black people from Africa, bringing them to the country and ripping them of their race, their name and ethnicity and family and everything. And so we go through slavery, and then we go through Civil War, and then we go through Jim Crow and lynchings in the South. And we're just getting up, and I think it was like music, and Blake Jones had to take a break. And he was like sitting down, and I walked by him, and I was like, pretty messed up, huh? He was like, man. And he started to talk about his own country's history. Right.
From Australia, in case people don't remember. Yeah.
With Aboriginals and the arrivals of the settlers from England and Ireland. It sparked a different discussion. It was Australia Day. It was we had a game on Australia Day. And, we talked about why it's called Invasion Day by some people. It's great discussion for everyone in the group. It's education. It's education.
All right, 4 o'clock Saturday, next home game against Virginia Commonwealth. Tell the students, tell the fans why they need to be out there for you guys on Saturday.
Students, How long do we have?
You got it as long as you want.
I don't have much. Students, fans, you know what to do. You know what to do. Wear green, wear gold, be loud, be early, stay late. Doc Nix and the Green Machine are doing concerts after the games. We're going to get this thing rolling. It's going to be an unstoppable engine, and very soon.
All right, Coach, thanks as always for your time. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Again, tickets for Saturday and the rest of the home games, 703-993-3270 or gomason.com for more information. Again, thanks to our sponsor tonight. As always, the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show with Kim English, presented by SN Mortgage Company. SN Mortgage Company, start your journey home today. Security National Mortgage Company is an equal housing lender company, NLMS 3116. And also thanks to Glory Days as well. Hopefully we'll see everybody out on homecoming Saturday, 4 o'clock here at Eagle Bank Arena.